Unit 3. Production. Lesson 1. Overview and general principles of circular economy management at the company.
In this lesson you will learn about strategies to implement the circular economy model in company management. How can furniture companies enhance their circular performance?
Content of the lesson. 1. The circular economy model, an approach. 2. Circular management strategies. 3. Circularity in furniture businesses.
The role of the manufacturing industry in the circular economy model. According to the Eurostat data, the manufacturing industry is responsible for 10.6% of all waste generated in the European Union. On the other hand, it accounts for 25.6% of the energy consumption in Europe and raw material consumption of nearly 15 tons per capita every year. A circular transition might help the industry to save resources and improve its environmental behavior.
The circular economy model can be implemented into the company's management through different strategies, such as the inclusion of sustainability and environmental criteria when designing a product, which is named eco-design, or enhancing production efficiency, trying to optimize management of stocks and flows of materials, energy, etc. On the other hand, management can establish strategies aimed at the modification of the business model, prioritize functionality or service over possession, known as servitization, or enhance take-back strategies, facilitating and encouraging reusing, remanufacturing, or recycling of the products. Moreover, the industrial symbiosis actions, collaborating with other companies in order to share resources and reduce waste, provide value and circularity to processes. Finally, social awareness and corporate social responsibility must also be taken into account.
Incorporating circularity into the management brings to the companies an opportunity to handle sustainability from a holistic view. On the one hand, manufacturers can improve the environmental behavior of their products or services taking into account all the stages of its life from its conception. This method is known as eco-design. Consequently, companies can implement eco-design systematically, through a management system according to ISO 14006, and, on the other hand, can make use of environmental assessment tools, such as life cycle assessment, which quantify the environmental improvement achieved, and allow further communication to interested parties by means of the different eco-label types. On the other hand, the development and implementation of environmental management systems in the company ensure a continuous improvement in the environmental impact of its activity. Furthermore, it is possible to certify these systems according to ISO 14001 or EMAS standards, which is market recognition of the company's commitment to the environment. In general, these systems aim to reduce the environmental impact of the company and ensure evidence of its results. This action is linked to the implementation of, among others, organizational and operational measures that make it possible to achieve optimum efficiency of the installation and prevent or reduce to technically and economically feasible levels the consumption of resources and waste flows generated in industrial processes, dumping, waste, emissions, etc.
To prevent natural resource depletion, the selection of the raw materials, recycled or renewable, or their use minimization in the final product are good strategies. From a design perspective, some strategies to light the final product without compromising its mechanical and/or functional properties and avoiding or reducing harmful substances. On the other hand, when talking about functional product optimization, both efficient use, meaning the avoidance of early breakage and making the most of the product's functionalities, and user orientation, meaning designing to meet the real needs of the user and providing value to them, are strategies worth taking into account. Additionally, to what has been previously mentioned, another strategy that companies can take from a design perspective is the avoidance of premature product change or replacement because they become technically obsolete because they break down or due to fashion changes. This means robust, timeless, and easily repairable products. A life cycle perspective implies considering the end of life of the product. In that sense, companies can design their products for disassembly or separability, optimizing the valorization of the product at its end of life.
A relevant strategy aimed to reduce the environmental footprint of a product is to prevent the depletion of the natural resources, which can be faced by the selection of raw materials, or by minimizing their use in the final product. Some examples are the use of recycled materials or renewable raw materials, the lightening of the final product, or the avoidance of harmful substances.
From the point of view of process organization, improving its efficiency helps to reduce its environmental impact. Consequently, it is recommendable to implement strategies such as lean manufacturing, a production method designed primarily at reducing system time. It also includes the theory of zero defects. More efficient technologies refer to better utilization of the raw material they are processing or applying, and lower consumption of energy or other consumables necessary for their operation, among other strategies.
It is also important to establish a network of reliable and/or local suppliers, which contribute to the stability of the value chain and have direct benefits for the efficient production of the company. Additionally, the environmental impact of the transport is reduced and contributes to the economical empowerment of the region. Efficient logistics are also those that ensure the products reach their destination while consuming the least amount of fuel and therefore reducing pollution derived from combustion emissions, using fewer working hours, etc. Finally, with regard to process optimization, it is interesting to discuss remanufacturing, an industrial process by which a product or component is returned to its original condition using a combination of used, repaired, or new parts, and its function and quality are assured. Remanufacturing is more than repairing the product, as it offers the same warranties as an original product, but has lower costs than if it were new. From an environmental perspective, remanufacturing reduces new natural resources consumption and waste generation.
Industrial symbiosis can be defined as the association of companies that establish relationships with each other to jointly improve their use of resources and reduce their environmental impacts. Some industrial symbiosis strategies would be agreements by which wastes or byproducts of an industry or industrial process can become the raw materials for another. Byproduct platforms allow connecting the offer and demand of byproducts from companies. Other option of industrial symbiosis is to establish an agreement between different companies to share common services of supply, distribution, etc., or treat the waste flows through common waste management services or purification facilities. In this case, in addition to the economic factor, the pooling of efforts makes it possible to optimize the treatment and possible reuse of these flows.
Servitization is understood as a product's transition from being seen as a property to being valued for the service it offers. Some strategies linked to servitization are, on the one hand, the user-oriented design, strategies that seek to extend the useful life of the product by increasing the user's satisfaction with it. In this case, customization adds value to the product by adapting the basic design to the user's needs from a functional perspective, or even from an aesthetic perspective. And, on the other hand, the extension of the lifespan includes services in addition to the sale of the product, extended warranties, updates services, and repair services. All of these strategies help to extend the usable life of the product, helping to reduce its environmental impact while preventing waste and improving the user experience.
Other strategies that can help companies when implementing servitization are pay-per-use. The functional economy prioritizes the use of the product as opposed to its ownership. However, there are different levels of supply between the pure sale of a product and the pure sale of a service, which are called product service systems, use-oriented services, like the rental of the product, and result-oriented services, that charge is based on the service provided by the product, without owning or renting the product. Data management. Industry 4.0 and the digitalization of information allow new forms of interaction with the user for a wide variety of purposes, which can lead to savings in the consumption of physical resources and the consequent generation of waste. Sensory and the Internet of Things, IoT, in the furniture sector opens up a wide variety of additional services during the use of products.
Once the product has arrived at its end of life, it is important to establish a take-back strategy that minimizes its environmental impact. Some examples are separated collection. The treatment at the end of life of products can be optimized if their particular conditions are addressed in a planned manner, training of workers, appropriate tools, and facilities, which also allows for economies of scale, and even facilitates remanufacturing processes. This implies a selective collection of a product typology and preventing them from swelling the bulky household waste stream. Reuse. The concept of reuse implies that the product does not have the status of waste, and is therefore considered as a life extension strategy. The market for second-hand products is closely related to household furniture between individuals, and several platforms facilitate the display and sale of these products, but it is also applied in the contract sector as a business model.
Regarding the waste, the end of life of waste can be improved with proper management information to the user, especially if there is a separate collection option. However, other strategies can be applied, like the traceability of waste, but the waste hierarchy, which establishes the following prioritization in relation to the treatment of waste, must always be taken into account.
The last group of strategies to be discussed in this lesson is those related to corporate social responsibility. It is linked to the social awareness of the companies, and can be classified into three groups.
Primary CSR aims to ensure the best working conditions, beyond legislative compliance. This contributes to staff satisfaction and improves their productivity, having highly qualified staff and retaining talent, as well as promoting innovation, and finally improve the competitiveness of the company. Secondary CSR implies those actions that contribute to the protection and improvement of the local environment. Tertiary CSR allows companies to subscribe to or endorse statutes, principles and other documents of an economic, environmental and social nature developed externally. Conclusions. It is clear that the circular economy model has already been established in the European context through legislation and plans, but also in private businesses' plans. In that sense, it is important to define and promote those different and complementary strategies that can be put in place in order to transit towards a circular economy, since it can help businesses in both environmental and economical terms.